All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. It is Tuesday, July 15th, and we have had a variety of things happen since the market opened that have led some stocks to go up and some stocks to go down. The broader market itself, relatively flat. S&P 500 right here is down. Not down like crazy, but it is down. We did hit an all-time high this morning, led by the bullish news we got for Nvidia being able to sell back to China. Now, Nvidia has held up throughout the day, 170, still up 4%. Can't complain about that. Robina trying to get that $100 close. We'll see if we get there. It's been going back and forth between 99 and 100. It was just at 98, and we'll talk about why it had that red candle. Palantir, we did hit 150 today, right here at 148.85. And then you got Tesla that I don't really know why it's getting hit towards the end of the day, but Tesla right here down about 1.62%. And we are seeing a little bit of downside momentum right there. Now, we got a bunch of sort of headlines to talk about. Trump is live right now. We're going to go to Trump after the bell and see what he's saying. I mean, he's not saying much. This is him on stream. Again, he's kind of just talking about AI, why it's important, innovation, all that stuff. So we're not really getting any questions. We're not seeing the other people participate. There's a lot of heavy hitters there, though. You got Basent there. You got Alex Karp. I did see a picture of Alex Karp. In fact, I took a picture of Alex Karp, so I will show you what that picture looks like. But we do have Karp there. You have Larry Fink. You have Basent. You have David Sachs. You got a lot of people there that are doing a bunch of different things, and that's probably what's leading to some of the momentum that we've seen on Palantir over the past couple of days as the market is getting excited about it. So there's this picture. Yeah, there it is right here. So there's Karp sitting with everybody. So I don't know if Karp's going to speak. I mean, he has a mic in front of him, so I imagine he's going to speak. There's a lot of people there, so I would imagine everyone's going to like say a little something. But if we do get to see Karp speak, that would be very cool. And we'll try to get to that after we get done with the close. All right, so let's get into some of the major pieces of news we got going on. The reason you guys saw Robin take a bit of a red candle and you saw Coinbase get down from 400, Coinbase right there at 388. You saw Bitcoin get to that 115 level. Bitcoin right now, 116.5, is because, unfortunately, a procedural vote in the House has failed to clear, which would have begun the process to advance two new crypto bills. This was supposed to be crypto week. This was supposed to be the week where multiple pieces of legislation in regards to stablecoins and a variety of other digital assets frameworks for regulatory frameworks to allow them to actually be incorporated into our traditional financial system, they were supposed to be voted on. And that didn't happen. Here is Congress basically denying the ability for this to get done.
On this vote, the yeas are 196, the nays are 223. The resolution is not adopted. For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana seek recognition?
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I have a motion at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Mr. Scalise of Louisiana moves to reconsider the vote on adoption of House Resolution 580.
Clerk will suspend. The House is not in order.
So it didn't go through. It didn't go through. It's really annoying. I was looking at one of the Republicans and the argument they made for why they're not supporting the bill. And essentially, they said that it gives room for a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. And as a result, they are afraid that if the central bank were to create its own digital currency because of this digital assets regulation, I'm forgetting the exact name of the representative. I'll try to pull up their tweet in a second. But that's why they said they can't vote for this. And I would imagine they got other people to agree with them. And as a result, we did not get legislation passing forward to enable more for crypto. Yeah, the CBDC, exactly. So this was really weird, dude, because the market took Bitcoin up to 123 just based on this idea that we were going to see more regulatory frameworks legitimately have a chance of getting passed. And I mean, we can have another vote pretty soon. I think Republicans are getting ready to get that vote set up for, if I'm not wrong, about 2 weeks from now. But this was supposed to be the week. And if it's not happening this week, who knows when it's going to happen. And I think that's why Bitcoin has started to have a little bit of weakness right here. So that's what we got on Bitcoin crypto. Now, Robinhood, it went to like 98.50 and then it kind of came back to 100 right now at 99.90. I mean, it really looks like it wants to stay at 100. It's just having some issues staying above. It got to 101.26 today. So whether it's 100 or 99.50 or 98 or 97, I think it eventually wants to really break out above that $100 range and then stabilize above it, hopefully making $100 a support level. But robbing it right there, trying to go back green at 99.97. Some of the other crypto companies, so Ethereum in and of itself, that one still above 3,000, which is nice. Marathon, a Bitcoin miner, that one 1885, that's down 2%. It was at $20 yesterday. Coinbase was at 400 this morning. It is now down at 387. MicroStrategy, I think, has not really hit that badly. Yeah, MicroStrategy 443. It was at 456 this morning. So down about 1.62%, not too crazy. And then CleanSpark and the other Bitcoin miners, yeah, they're getting the brunt of it, down about 3 to 4%. So that's what we got in the context of crypto. And that resulted in some of the moves that we saw here today. Palantir right here, still 148. Nvidia and the semis have held on. AMD was at 158, could not break above that. 154.96, not too bad. And then Nvidia right here, 170.67. SMCI and some of the other semiconductor companies. Look at that. SMCI up 7.23%, not too bad. Broadcom all-time highs as well at 281. We get ASML earnings tonight around 2 a.m. Eastern, which will be morning in the Netherlands. And so we'll look at that when we do the market open, and then we'll have TSM and Netflix later throughout the day as well. SMH, the semiconductor ETF, that right there is at 291. The other thing, unfortunately, that happened as well is not only did we not get a procedural vote from the House on crypto legislation, we also had Congress vote to deny the amendment to release the Epstein files among the procedural motion to allow for a consideration of a pair of crypto bills and the defense spending bill. Meaning, not only did we not get crypto legislation, we had Congress say, hey, we are not going to unequivocally create an amendment that would force the release of the Epstein files. This is what Trump said about it today when he was asked before he went to Pennsylvania about the Epstein files.
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well. And it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
She meaning Pam Bondi. So that is what Trump had to say about the Epstein files that still have not been released, and it doesn't really look like they are going to be released. So that's what we got in the context of Epstein files and crypto. Now, here is one piece of news that was pretty strong. We have a lot more details on the Indonesia deal. We have a lot more details on Indonesia. So in the morning, Trump tweeted that he had a deal with Indonesia. Now, we actually have the details. Indonesia will be buying $15 billion of U.S. energy, $4.5 billion in American agricultural products, and 50 Boeing jets, many of them 777s. Trump also announced 19% tariffs on Indonesia, while the U.S. will pay 0%. So this is not a horrible deal, considering we do about $38 billion of trade with Indonesia. I mean, the fact that, $15 billion, which is almost half of the amount of trade that we do with them in total, they're going to be buying of U.S. energy that they're committing to, along with about $5 billion of American agricultural products and probably a couple billion worth of Boeing jets. I think this is actually a pretty good deal. I do not think this is a bad deal at all. And so the August 1st deadline is coming up. If Trump's able to get many more of these deals with Cambodia and the Philippines, et cetera, to avoid imposing the 30-40% tariffs on these countries, I think the street would obviously love it and the street would be happy about it. The question is, are we actually going to end up getting these deals done? Okay, we got about 10 minutes until the market closes. Let's switch over to Trump and see what he's talking about. Again, we will watch more of this and watch more of the participants in the panel after the market close, but let's take a minute and just see what he's saying here.
And they won't be powered by wind because it doesn't work. I hate to say it just doesn't work. It's rather intermittent if you don't want it. It causes a lot of problems. But in San Francisco, and I said, this guy's very smart. If I pull this sucker off, I'm going to probably hire him in some form. I got to get him in. But you've been doing great. Thank you, David, very much.
Oh, so that's the headline. 20 leading tech and energy companies announce more than $92 billion of investments in Pennsylvania. Okay, so the number was 70 billion yesterday. Looks like that number is up to 92 billion from 20 leading tech companies and energy companies in the state of Pennsylvania.
Award, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Good job. Kim's very happy right now. State Senate Majority Leader Joe Pittman
Joe, thank you. And State Senator Greg Rothman, thank you very much, Greg. Thank you. I also want to recognize your great congressmen. These are friends, these are warriors. They just passed the great, big, beautiful. See, I add the word great. I like to say because the really was really supposed to be great, big, beautiful. They call it the big, beautiful. But I had great. They took the word great out.
President Trump speaking in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today alongside Senator Dave McCormick. They are hosting a big energy and AI conference. The president touting who's there and what was announced. 20 leading tech and energy companies announcing more than $92 billion worth of investments in the state of Pennsylvania. He's now thanking some of those around him, including a number of cabinet secretaries. Secretary Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is there as well. We'll continue to monitor, let you know if he says anything else. In the meantime, we are tracking this market into the close. We're down almost 400 points, but the S&P.
So again, we'll see what Trump's saying after the market close. But on terms of the market, relatively flat day. I mean, I know the S&P right here is gapping down, but it's at the same level it was at last week on Thursday. Gapped up to 627, now down to 623. Some individual names, Nvidia being the story of the day, breaking 4.1 trillion has been incredible. Nvidia is now worth $1 trillion more than Apple, which it's incredible to see that story playing out in front of us. But outside of that, nothing on the broader indices moving as aggressively as they were early in the morning. UNH, how's that one doing? Is that one still sucking? 292. All right, same as it was in the morning. It was at 293. That one down 2.81%. All of the insurance companies getting hit. Lemonade. By the way, you Lemonade bulls have absolutely came after Steve this morning. I mean, dude, he put out the article, I think, at 9 a.m. At 9:15, I'm seeing notifications of everyone saying Steve's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's wrong about Lemonade, yada, yada. So he might call into the show today because he was pretty pissed off that the cult of Lemonade came after him, especially when he doesn't think his article is that bearish or he's saying anything that wrong. But you got to give it to the Lemonade bulls. I mean, they will not tolerate anyone saying anything about this one. But all the insurance companies, Oscar, Lemonade, and UNH, all getting hit right here on the day. We are not having Technical Tuesday, unfortunately. Jason's wife is sick, so he's not going to be able to make today. So we will take a look at this Trump conference in Pennsylvania as we get into the close. But yeah, Jason will not be able to make it today. SoFi right here, 21. That one's also down 1.52%. S&P 623. And then AMD 155. Now, although Palantir hit 150 today, we did have some issues at their New York office. Here is what is happening for those that don't know in New York City today with Palantir.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. We want Palantir out of New York City. Palantir, get up. Put people over profit. Palantir, get up. Put people over profit.
Okay, so that happened today in Palantir's New York City offices. And our boy Iliano, this is what he tweeted. This is what he tweeted. So, yeah, he, you know, the caption is, "Oh, wow, 6 sign." Whether you disagree or agree with the protest, I thought this was kind of funny. So he put 150 Palantir on the 6 sign of the protesters. But I mean, look, in the face of all these protests, the market does not care, bro. We hit an all-time high today. We're at 148.76, basically at all-time highs. Robinhood right here at 100, Nvidia right here, 170.9. The market is not really looking at the quote-unquote brand damage from protesters. Honestly, that New York Times story, kind of dead. No one's talking about it anymore. I don't see a video every other day uploaded about how horrible Palantir is. So that story had like maybe a month worth of energy, maybe a couple weeks, and it's kind of died out. Obviously, if there's tons and tons of more protests and more videos, then that could come alive again. But we are up almost 20% since the article came out from the New York Times about how evil Palantir is. And so you're not really seeing some of that same pain right now on this one. So that's what we got right there in the context of Palantir. Palantir right here, 148.63 down about 0.18%. Now, here's the update right here on the 19% tariffs on Indonesia, and then we'll keep going from there.
Megan Casella has them. Megan.
Hey, Kelly. So the president now posting on Truth Social a few more of these details of this top line trade framework with Indonesia. He says as part of the agreement, Indonesia is committed to purchasing $15 billion in U.S. energy, $4.5 billion in American agricultural products, and 50 jets from Boeing. Many of them, he says, will be 777s. He also goes on to say later that if there's any transshipment from a higher tariff country, that tariff will be added on to the tariff Indonesia is paying. As you can see, Boeing shares moving on this. Remember, Boeing was also part of the deal with the UK. So an interesting trend there. The top line, of course, Kelly, with this deal being 0% tariffs on anything the U.S. sells to Indonesia, but 19% tariffs on anything the U.S. buys from Indonesia. Now, I do want to caution, we have not yet gotten any sort of confirmation from the Indonesian government on this. The only reporting that I can find is that Reuters exchanged a text message with an Indonesian government official earlier today when the official said they're preparing a joint statement between the two countries that will explain the size of the reciprocal tariff, including the tariff deal, non-tariff, and commercial arrangements. So suggesting there will be commercial arrangements along these lines. But other than that, no confirmation from Indonesia. So we still have to wait to see that, as well as any.
Now, we did get confirmation from Trump. Again, Trump put out the four things that Indonesia will be buying from us, which are Boeing's, energy, and American agricultural products. And then he announced those 19% tariffs while the U.S. will pay 0. So I don't know what we gave up to Indonesia to be able to get these types of concessions. But I mean, this is bullish, bro. Instead of doing 35% tariffs on August 1st, they're buying 20 billion worth of goods from us. And we have a 19% tariff versus a 0% tariff. I mean, that is rather bullish. If you can get these types of deals with a lot of other countries, I think the markets would like this. Here's some updates on crypto. We got 2 minutes until the market closes. Again, the crypto bills, if you're just joining, did not pass the procedural hurdle to get a vote in Congress.
Crypto bills, and that procedural vote has failed. Now, we should note, of course, here that rule was not just on crypto bills. It was also going to set up a vote on funding for the Defense Department. We're trying to learn a little bit more about why the bill went down, but this definitely puts a wrinkle into House Republicans' plan to have this crypto week where they were going to pass crypto bills. You have to get that process vote in place to actually move on to the other votes. One of the members who did vote against the process, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, actually tweeted a bit this morning, voicing some of her concerns with the bill in relation to a central bank digital currency. She was concerned that the bills did not do enough to prevent that from being created by the U.S. government, saying that more oversight was needed. Of course, we'll be speaking with more of these lawmakers who voted against the bill to better understand their concerns.
So it is annoying, dude. It is annoying. We got about 30 seconds until the market closes. It's annoying because everyone thought, and I think definitely the people buying up crypto last week thought, particularly on Bitcoin, that we were going to get some massive legislation, and it just didn't go through. And we will have a chance to get that vote again if they amend some of the issues inside of the bills that senators and representatives had. But if we can change some of those things, then maybe we get this passed. As of today, at least for now, we're not getting passed. That's why if you saw Circle go down 5%, Coinbase, all those names, it was basically on the idea that we couldn't get this stuff passed. Inevitably, it will be passed. I think Congress should regulate versus be afraid of crypto and digital assets, but it might end up just taking some more time. All right, folks, here we go. 10 seconds into the close. It is Tuesday, July 15th. We got a bunch of headlines. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is the first day ever in history that Nvidia has closed above $170. All right, the market is closed. Nvidia, she gets the close above 170. There was a poll I asked in the morning. Do you think the street's going to fade this, which would mean take it back to 165, or do we keep it? And the street kept it. 4.162 trillion. Apple's at 3.123. $1 trillion above Apple. Microsoft, by the way, also basically closing at all-time highs, which is incredible. And it's just amazing to see that we are alive to watch one of the most amazing companies on this planet grow at the level that they're growing at. Nvidia right here, 170.5. Palantir, 148.59, just below that 149 level. We did get to 150.6 today. That one is down on the day. Robinhood, 99.46. They did not give us the $100 close. That's all right. 99.46 right here. AMD, great day, up 7%, made a bigger move than Nvidia, 155.43. SoFi gets a below 21 close. So they're keeping it above 20. They're not taking it below 20, but it's not really breaking out from 21 yet. Grab 505, kind of same story every day, pumps to 515, then comes right back down. But we did get a above $5 close, which is nice. Google was at 184. I don't know why that red candle happened in the last basically 30 minutes of the day, but it ends green, just not as green as it was in the morning. Amazon right here, 226 on the close. Reddit was down about 1%. Meta, 710. That was down about 1.5%. Meta's $10 away from going below 700. So that one I think we all have to keep an eye on as well. ELF right here it's up a little bit today, but this has been a pretty ugly stock for the past couple weeks, down almost 20%. PayPal right here, 72.80. That was down 1.4. Apple, slightly green. Apple did invest into Materials Corporation today. That stock ended up 20% on the day. MP, they got the Pentagon to invest, and they got Apple to invest. SBET, Ethereum Treasury is having some fun, ended up 23% on the day. 23% on the day. We got a headline right here. Cantor Fitzgerald nears $4 billion SPAC deal with Bitcoin Pioneer. All right, so you got Lutnik's firm coming out with a new SPAC worth $4 billion with Bitcoin Pioneer. I guess we'll get more details on that going into the future. That's the Financial Times reporting that right now. But we will see probably some more SPACs in the crypto space. BMR ended down 3% on the day. Wow. So SBET kind of really proving to be an Ethereum Treasury that has some upside momentum. Now, obviously, BMR is up from $4, so it's already 10x, but still, most people did not buy it at $4. SBET right here, up 20%. BMR down about 3%. There was BTBT, which did some dilution yesterday of about $65 million, only down 0.5%. Not that bad for BTBT. Also, SBET announced today that they bought a ton of Ethereum. I think they have 208,000 Ethereum now on the balance sheet, so that is a lot more for them. And Ethereum was up today, which is very bullish for SBET. Okay, so there you go. That's what we got. Yeah, they're the largest holder now of Ethereum, passing the foundation. Let's head over to this conference and see what Trump is talking about. If it's not really anything, we'll get into some other stories. I have a bunch of headlines we can talk about, but also I am very curious to see some of the participants in this conference speaking about AI and energy. Karp is there. I got a picture of him, so we'll see if Karp gets to talk and he says anything. Larry Fink's there. David Sachs is there. And then we'll keep going from there. So let's pull this up here right now.
You've done a great job. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes, Sarah. That's great. We can't keep this kind of money waiting. These are truly the biggest investors in the world, including my friend John on my left. But these are the biggest investors in the world. I'm sorry, McAdams, and I'm sorry, Selena. That's the way it works. It's very impressive. But Nippon Steel, and we got it, and we have all sorts of protections because of the fact that U.S. Steel was you people years ago. 80 years ago, it was the biggest company in the world, most powerful company in the world, and we were very strong. And Nippon's coming in. They're going to be investing $17 billion. They're going to build new plants all over the country using U.S. Steel, and we have the absolute control because we don't want to lose control of that one name. That one name is very important for to the history of this country. And I think Nippon's going to do a fantastic job. And, in some cases, they could take it back to their country. I said to people, because a lot of people said, well, what do you think? Japanese companies coming in. I said, well, when they spend $1 billion in a steel plant, they're not going to put it on a boat and take it away. It's going to be right here with us no matter what. But they are going to do a fantastic job. And they look forward to it, and they're so excited about it. They actually fought very, very hard to get that deal. And I think when you look at the countless jobs at the Mon Valley Works in Western Pennsylvania, we have something that's going to be really incredible. And we did keep it golden.
All right, so we're not getting too much from Trump right now. I will switch back over once we have some of the participants talk. We'll get through some of the other stories we have, and we should probably in 10, 15 minutes see the other people at that roundtable speak about whatever they have to discuss. I'm assuming a lot of it has to do with data centers, AI, the promise of AI, innovation, etc. And so we'll keep going from there. Now, Tesla 309, not sure why Tesla took a beating towards the end of the day. I tried to find a headline. I couldn't find it. Kind of felt like algos. Tesla did open up in India today. So the Mumbai office was opened or the Mumbai showroom was open in the morning, which was super cool and nice to see. But outside of that, I didn't see any headlines that would say Tesla should go down. AI Summit and Elon isn't there. Well, Elon, I mean, that's a good point. I don't think Elon's going to go to any places that Trump's at anymore. I mean, it'd be a little awkward for Elon to just be sitting away from Trump, given everything that's happened. I also, you know what I think Elon was pissed off about? I think Elon was pissed off about not getting invited to the Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Middle East trip, because he wasn't there shaking the hands of everyone, but Sam Altman was there, and Elon's not really a fan of Sam Altman, etc. So I think you know that could have been some of the reasons he got pissed off, along with the variety of other stuff. But I don't know if they're going to be in the same arena as easily before. He was there. Okay, no, you guys are right. He was there because he was on stage with the Saudis, but he wasn't at the meeting with Trump, with Karp and Jensen and Lisa Su and all that stuff. No, you're right. He was there. He was there because the Saudis have him on stage. But the thing that he was really pissed off about, and I think he even tweeted about this, is that, you know, Sam Altman's getting all this momentum from an OpenAI perspective when it comes to data center buildouts. Okay, so yes, the head of U.S. Auto did leave. Okay, that is true. That the VP of Sales, Troy Jones, I don't know if that's the biggest reason why Tesla's taking a hit, because when that news came out, no one really cared. The stock was at $314. This kind of $7 move to the downside happened really in the last 30 minutes. So I don't think that was the reason. It feels more algorithmic towards the end of the day, but we'll see if it ends up becoming anything else. Okay, Trump's done speaking. We're going to wait until we get some of the other participants to start talking. No one's really saying anything yet. You got one of the senators, Dave McCormick, who's speaking behind him, but none of the actual participants that are there. Again, Karp is there. Larry Fink is there. You got a lot of other people there, so it will be important to see kind of what they say. Nvidia, Bank of America, they raised their price target from 180 to 220. 180 to 220. Here's what they said. We leave our estimates unchanged, but raise our price target to reflect incremental sales and EPS in a scenario analysis. We assume a quarterly change of China shipments because of H20 and Blackwell, based on an annual run rate that was likely first half heavy and in some cases reflects a risk of license timing and or Chinese customers finding alternatives. So in case of Nvidia, we assume a run rate of $4 to $6 billion a quarter because of China, which we expect to remain flat year over year. Our assumptions imply China accounts for 14% of global AI accelerator TAM in calendar year 2025, reducing to 12% by 2026, and likely closer to 5 to 10% over time, consistent with Jensen's view of 50 billion China TAM over the next 2 years. A lot of people think that Nvidia is getting 50 billion from China. That is incorrect. Nvidia has a $50 billion China TAM, which is what Jensen has said. It's about 17 billion of revenue per year, which obviously is a ton of revenue and is why the stock was up today. But they're not going to get 50 billion of revenue just because of China. So they're leaving their estimates unchanged, but they get to 222 based on, or 220 on the price target based on a 37x multiple of 587 by the end of next year for EPS. So if you assume Nvidia is going to do about $6 and you put a 37 multiple, you get to 220. And if it gets a 37 multiple, you know, you'll probably get more participants buy in. That probably gets like 40, 42 on a multiple. If that EPS can get anywhere near 615, 620, I mean, you can see the stock at 250. It's up to Nvidia to put up that growth, but the street is definitely giving them the benefit of the doubt by believing that China is going to be a massive tailwind, and that should expand the multiple. And if you expand that multiple and leave your estimates the same, then boom, you have Nvidia going higher. Nvidia right here, 170.44. We are not doing Technical Tuesday today. Jason's wife is a bit sick, so he's not going to be able to make it. So we will not be able to do TT today. Next week, we're probably not going to be able to do it as well because Tesla and Google have earnings on Tuesday. This week, again, we looked at the bank earnings this morning. They were incredible. We have nothing after hours. Tomorrow, we have United after hours with Discover. We have ASML, big for the semis, J&J, big for the pharmaceuticals. Then you have Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Progressive in the morning. Thursday, you have TSM. That's the big one. In the afternoon, you have Netflix. That's a big one. And then next week on Tuesday, actually, we could do Technical Tuesday next week. Next week, we don't. Tesla and Google are on Wednesday. Yeah, actually. So, okay. So next week, I think we can definitely do TT if Jason's free. We don't have any crazy earnings on Tuesday, but Wednesday is going to be a big day with Tesla and Google. And then the week after that, that's when you get your Amazons, your Metas, your Apple. And July 30th, you got Hoodie. You have Hoodie, Microsoft, Meta, Qualcomm, HIMS, ARM, Grab, FICO, eBay, APLD, SD. I mean, July 30th, it's going to be wild, bro. That's going to be a big day for a lot of these earnings. So that's what we got. All right, let's go back to Trump and let's see if we can get anything from this conference. Let's just pull this up right here. Let's bring it up.
Investments here, and we're very excited to announce that we're going to make a further $25 billion investment into Pennsylvania's digital and energy infrastructure. Thank you. Great. The investment should catalyze over the next 10 plus year a further $60 billion on top of that into the state. Pennsylvania, as you've heard, is uniquely situated as a strategic hub to power the nation's AI objectives. Abundant, low-cost energy, 20% of the country's natural gas production. And by co-locating data centers next to the natural gas, we eliminate the enormous cost and time delays with these projects, which makes us super bullish on this state. America's AI future obviously requires rapid acceleration of data center construction. Our company, QTS, is the largest independent data center developer and operator in the world. QTS has secured multiple land sites throughout the Northeast of Pennsylvania. We're very excited about that. The co-CEO tag is over there. We're also excited to announce today a JV with Pennsylvania utility PPL to invest in new natural gas generation facilities. These will ensure grid reliability and power Pennsylvania's digital infrastructure, as well as homes and businesses across the Commonwealth. Net here, this continues our long-term partnership at Blackstone with Pennsylvania. We believe 6,000 plus jobs will be created or supported annually over the 10-year construction timeline. Over 3,000 permanent jobs will be created or supported by QTS and its customers. We have long-standing relationships with labor. We plan to continue those here in Pennsylvania, and we intend to commence construction on these projects by year-end 2028. Thank you for having us today, Senator McCormick. Thank you, President Trump, for your leadership. We are honored and excited to be investing in the future of Pennsylvania and the United States.
All right. Thank you, John. That's great. And I'm going to keep us moving because there's so many people here I want to call on. Brian Tierney, CEO of First Energy, a $9.3 billion.
Okay, so again, we're not seeing any of the main AI heads talk yet. We'll see what they say. We do have some breaking news on the crypto stuff. Let's get an update on that, and then we'll keep going.
Week hit a potential roadblock when it comes to getting those bills through the House. A key procedural vote failed after a dozen Republicans voted against it. And I caught up with a couple of those Republicans, including Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congressman Chip Roy, and they said that their main concern is that while the three crypto bills are on separate tracks, they want to combine them into one. That's because one of the bills deals with banning central bank digital currency. Freedom Caucus members want to make sure that that passes, but they know that one of the bills dealing with stablecoin is set to go immediately to Trump's desk. The other two will go to the Senate. What they're trying to do is put all three together to incentivize the Senate to vote for all three and then send all three of them together to Trump's desk to get into law. So a bit of politicking here, up here on Capitol Hill, trying to make sure that these measures get done.
I mean, look, if that's the reason why they didn't pass it today and it wasn't ideological. By the way, Rocket Lab closed at 44.50, which was incredible. We did get 45 today. That's okay. That's actually fine. I mean, if they really want to go through all the, hurdles of just getting everything together so that Trump could sign them all at once to get the agenda passed. I mean, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. It's a bit annoying for investors that have to deal with until we get clarity, but it's not like you have a ton of Republicans that are just like, I don't believe in crypto. I'm not going to vote for this. It seems like they had the votes, but they didn't have the votes in the way that they wanted the legislation to be passed, which is actually okay. That's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe that's why some of these crypto stocks recovered towards the end of the day as well. Palantir right here, 148 after hours, Tesla 308. Tesla continuing to get hit. Again, Troy Jones did leave today from the company after 15 years. I don't think he was fired. I don't think he necessarily hates Tesla. I think, after you're there for 15 years, maybe you just want to move on. I don't think the stock's really moving off that, but that could be the reason, down 2.5%. And then Nvidia right here, 170.31. You guys think he was fired? I don't know, dude. The reason I think he might have left is because if Tesla's truly becoming a company that's not focused on auto sales, but focused on autonomy, his role in terms of leading auto sales, which is still a very important role, just might not be as important as it was when Tesla, was barely selling 1,000 cars a quarter 15 years ago. So maybe he's recognizing that he can have a greater impact somewhere else and he just wants to not be part of it. Maybe he's leaving because he's done with Elon and, he thinks Elon is being wild. He doesn't want to be part of it. But I don't think we got any specific details on why he's leaving today. I don't think that's a reason to take Tesla down 3%. I mean, feels like Algo is more so involved on getting Tesla hit. Oh, this is the actual reason. Thank you for this comment. This is the actual reason. I did see this headline. This is at least the best reason I could come up with that would make sense versus the VP of sales leaving. Okay, so the NHTSA came out with a new nominee, and his name is Jonathan Morrison. This is actually the reason why Tesla fell from 315 to 308 today. And he has a history of publicly challenging Tesla over its safety claims. Back in 2018, while serving as the NHTSA's chief counsel, Morrison called out Tesla's claim that the Model 3 had the lowest probability of injury of any vehicle ever tested, calling it potentially misleading and a misuse of federal safety data. Now nominated to head the agency, maybe because Trump knows this guy is anti-Elon, and Trump's like, "Hey, I don't like Elon anymore. We're gonna give him some troubles." This could be why Tesla is getting affected. His confirmation comes at a time when Musk is at odds with Trump, despite previously close ties. Morrison's record suggests a tougher regulatory stance, especially on how Tesla markets its autopilot and full self-driving technologies. His nomination hearing is scheduled for next week. There you go. That is your actual reason why we saw that drop at the last 30 minutes of the day. Okay, so how many of you guys know Jonathan Morrison? Because I don't know this guy that deeply. In regards to his history of Tesla, but this makes a lot of sense for why the street was upset, most likely. And unfortunately, this kind of proves the argument that a lot of people had on the political risk to Tesla, which is that if Trump is petty, which this kind of feels like a petty nomination, then this could create a regulatory hurdle. It's actually bullish Google, to be honest, if the guy is more bullish on LiDAR versus neural nets, to create some issues for Tesla. I mean, that could be the broader problem here. Let me see if I can find some more information on this guy. So I've never seen him before, but we'll see if we can figure out a little bit more about who he is and go deeper into that. Now, if that's the reason we get Tesla to 280 or something, I mean, be my guest. If they're really going to give us Tesla that low because of this dude, which is a legit risk. It's not like it's not. But it's also one of those things where I don't know if it's the absolute worst thing in the world. All right, Jonathan Morrison, Tesla. Yeah, pretty much every article hopping on this train that Morrison was the agency's chief counsel during Trump's first term, which he disputed a Tesla blog post about safety, in which the company claimed that its Model 3 had the lowest probability of injury of any vehicle ever tested. That statement could be interpreted as misunderstanding safety data and intention to mislead the public, or both. Morrison wrote to Musk, arguing that it was inappropriate to compare the EV to other larger vehicles. All right, that's what you got. That kind of explains why Tesla's down. Let's go back to the conference with Trump and see what they are saying there.
Security and what it means to our
for electrical workers in this country. It's estimated in the 100,000 plus. Last month, Google made a grant to the Electrical Training Alliance to equip more than 100,000
This is Google CFO.
Electrical workers with the skills that they need and train 30,000 new apprentices by 2030. Today, we are expanding that grant to increase the projected pipeline of new electricians in Pennsylvania by 64%. Third, we think it is critical, as Senator McCormick said, to build a fair America, an America where everyone has the opportunity for jobs of the future. And to ensure that we can do that today, starting in Pennsylvania, we're really proud to announce AI Works for America. And through partnerships with leading employers, universities, skilled trades, and manufacturers, we're going to help train American workers and students by teaching them essential AI skills. And as part of this, I'm very proud that Google will be offering free AI training to every small business in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Guys, I was about to pause the stream to tell you guys that LeBron James just got traded to the Mavericks from the Lakers. I was so close to pausing it to say that because that's pretty big news. But then I realized it's one of those fake Twitter accounts that pretends to be ESPN. And so, yeah, LeBron's still a Laker. But I was going to pause the Google CFO to say that. But I still did technically after. But yeah, LeBron's still on the Lakers. So there you go.
Here, I also went to school in Pennsylvania, and we're very proud of it. So thank you again. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all your catalyzing.
Thanks, Ruth. That's what we like to hear. I want to call on just briefly Mike Intrator. Mike, I want to take note of this for all you CEOs. Mike is the CEO of CoreWeave, which made a big announcement today, $6 billion investment in Pennsylvania, and his stock went way up. So all you CEOs, just take notice. Investing in Pennsylvania is good for your stock price. Mike, please tell us about this project. It's very exciting.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Senator McCormick. And yes, you're correct. The market responded well to our announcement of investing $6 billion into a Lancaster, Pennsylvania data center. It's a data center that will be able to host some of the most advanced state-of-the-art computing infrastructure that the country needs in order to maintain its position as the leader in artificial intelligence. The data center will drive 600 jobs for across the trades as we construct the site. It's been incredible across the energy space that's required to deliver clean, reliable power, as well as
There's Carp. There's Carp sitting right next to him.
Your support for artificial intelligence at large. Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mike. Mr. President, what you hear over and over again are these incredible job creation, but we need workers to be able to fulfill these jobs. And I see my friend Barry in the audience, and we've talked a lot about the need for construction workers. There he is. There's Barry. We have Brandon Bishop with us today from the National Building Trades. And, I was with a bunch of guys from the building trades a couple weeks ago, and they were saying, we don't want to do the apprenticeship program until we're sure about the work. And I said, double, triple, quadruple the programs, right? We got to have skilled workers who can meet the needs. We got a tsunami of opportunity coming for Pennsylvania. And so maybe you could take a minute, Brandon, on that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Senator McCormick. Mr. President, it's an honor to be here today representing North America's building trades unions and our 3 million members, especially the thousands of.
Okay, so we'll get back to this when they actually start showing off some of the other executives. Hopefully they get Carp to speak. That would be very nice. But we'll get back to that in a second. This was the post, bro. I legit, if you rewind the tape, you might see my jaw drop. I was about to stop everything to show you guys this. And then I realized it was a fake account. I was like, what? The Mavericks back with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving? That would be crazy. That would be crazy. So yeah, that Tesla news, 308. The Tesla news is that the head of the agency that deals, the NHTSA, with regulatory frameworks around auto safety, doesn't like Elon. And the market right there is giving Tesla a little bit of pain. That's why Tesla dropped. Now, again, I don't think that's the biggest reason in the world. And hopefully the guy's not going to be super petty against Elon and hold a grudge and, just like not allow any progress on self-driving to be made. But what if it does? I mean, if it does, that's going to push back robotaxi timelines for a long time, which is not something that Tesla can afford. So I would imagine that, that doesn't play out like that, but that is the risk right there. And that's why Tesla right here down about 2.62%. Mavs are the favorites to land LeBron. I wonder if he'll be able to force a buyout. Yeah, I don't know if he wants to be in Los Angeles anymore, but it would be wild, bro. I think that would be bigger than Anthony Davis for Luka. I think that would be bigger. That would still be pretty big if that happened. Here is Ryan Dietrich today talking about this bull market and why we can continue remaining bullish, and then we'll get back to the Trump conference.
Right before I joined, right? Sentiment, it's kind of mixed. You can find some pockets of optimism. We know the hedge funds and a lot of the big money institutions, though, have really missed this rally. That's one reason we think it can continue. But one thing to think about here, the second half of July historically is kind of a choppy month. You know, Warren Pies was on right before me. I love Warren. He talked about maybe a little choppiness. Maybe that'd be perfectly normal, you know, as we kind of catch our footing. And everyone remembers how, you know, volatile last August was with the yen carry trade unwind. If you go back and look, we still were higher about 3-4% last August. So I don't think the summer rally's done yet. Maybe a little break would be perfectly normal, John.
Where Warren is differing from you is he's taking his overweight off of equities, going to equal weight. That's what he told us here on Overtime some days ago. You're staying overweight, even though you expect that if there are some pricing effects, even inflation effects from tariffs, they're going to show up in a couple months. Do you just not expect those effects to be too serious?
No, that's probably the best way to put it. We don't. You know, the inflation data today, even today, I mean, didn't tell you a wild day. Small caps down 1.5%. Yet you've got the NASDAQ at all-time highs. You can pick and choose that inflation data. You know, the reality, we've been overweight equities, honestly, since the beginning of 2023, right? I came on with you a lot talking about that. I was on last month when, you know, we set up summer rally. In April, we never cut our target. So we still are overweight. Well, one thing we've done from the start of the year to right now, we were very overweight U.S. We have gone more into developed international. We have gone more into Europe. So we think, you know, there's some diversification, if you will. And we actually are pretty heavy into large caps as well. Again, small caps underperformed today. We think large caps will probably still do a little bit better, and that'll still benefit investors the second half of this year.
Where are you going for international?
Up, we got a filing from the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission. Folks, it is from Mr. Jeff Bezos. $1.5 billion worth of Amazon stock he sells at $225 a share. If you bought today at $225.21, you were buying from Mr. Jeff Bezos. $1.5 billion, huh? So now he has, I think, about 40% left of the $5 billion, maybe a little bit less than that, to sell to complete his $5 billion filing that he put out a couple weeks ago. $1.5 billion, dude. Weddings are expensive, dude. Weddings are expensive. Yeah, honeymoon now. I mean, like, you got this is expensive stuff. This is expensive stuff.
Yeah, specifically Europe. Some of the big ETFs. I mean, we look at Germany. You know what Germany started doing back in March when they were in all that spending with their GDP and defense spending. We said, you know, something. You know, what are the four most dangerous words? This time is different. Sir John Templeton. We said this time is different. Europe's finally starting to do something there on the fiscal side, and everyone. It's a dirty word, deficits. We understand that, but look historically, when you have fiscal deficits, you tend to have higher corporate profits, and you tend to have a better stock market. That's what we're seeing in Europe and starting to see in the U.S. as well.
All right, we got Lutnik. Let's see what he's saying.
Sure, we win the AI race, but he knows that we need energy to drive it. And that's why he campaigned on drill, baby, drill, because we need energy. We need it across the nation, and we need it in Pennsylvania, which has got amazing natural gas resources, incredible. And then we've got to turn that into advanced manufacturing. So those three buckets are where we're going. And President Trump is leading the charge on that. And we're very excited. $6 trillion in investment dollars coming into America. So your workers, man, are they going to be busy?
Secretary Wright, let me turn to you, and then Secretary Burgum.
Yes, thank you, Senator McCormick, and thank you, President Trump. We are all here, and we're talking about $90 billion of investment in this state because of a dramatic pivot in the leadership of our country. President Trump, an East Coast real estate developer, understands in his gut energy more than anyone I've met. He knows energy is the infrastructure for everything we do. If you get energy wrong, nothing else matters. If you get energy right, the possibilities are just immense. And Pennsylvania, the oil and gas industry, global oil and gas industry, started a few dozen miles from here in Titusville, Pennsylvania. The shale gas revolution may have started in Texas, but it really flourished and hit its peak right here in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania today exports more energy to other states than any other state except for Texas. And it would export more, but it had blocks on building pipelines. Two great opportunities for Pennsylvania energy. One, and President Trump is hard at work at both of these. One is to get those pipelines built from Pennsylvania to New England so we can change the quality of life and opportunities. People in New England have a lower quality of life than they deserve for bad political decisions. That can be changed. And number two, the opposition to building pipelines out of Pennsylvania.
There's Carp. There he is, about 2 seats away.
Doesn't stop the production of gas in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania natural gas production could ramp up tremendously fast, and Pennsylvania could lead the world in AI and reshoring manufacturing.
Secretary Burgum, thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. President Trump, it's such an honor to work for you. Your vision of energy dominance as the foundation of this golden age for America is coming true. And it's just common sense. You've called this the party of common sense, but it's when we talk about cutting taxes like never before, cutting regulations, speeding permitting, we're the hottest country in the world because of the policy changes that are drawing all that capital to come here. And now we combine this with the incredible natural resources that we have. You understand better than anyone that the balance sheet of America is the biggest balance sheet in the world, the natural resources that we have. And by unleashing energy, you know that that's what's lowered inflation. It's bringing prosperity at home, but it's also bringing peace abroad. You identified that there was a couple of threats to our country. One was Iran having a nuclear weapon. The other was losing the AI arms race to China. You took care of one of those a few weeks ago. You're helping to take care of the other one here. And I just want to say again that your understanding of what needs to be done, your understanding that we need more power, because a kilowatt of electricity today is worth more than it ever has been in human history, because we can take Pennsylvania natural resources like gas, turn it to electricity, turn it to intelligence, and that intelligence lifts every single industry, not just one industry, not the company that owns the data center. It lifts everybody that uses it. This is going to be the biggest change in human productivity in history, and the U.S. is going to lead thanks to your vision.
Thank you. Listen, I want to just close by saying what an extraordinary group of people here today. Thank you all for coming. As we have, there's just people you could talk for days just listening to people around this table. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment and investment in Pennsylvania. Thank you all you in the audience. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette ran an article last week, and it said in the first line or two, not since the days of Andrew Carnegie has so much economic power been gathered in one room in Pittsburgh. And I really believe, Mr. President, based on you being here, we're going to look back on this day and say that this was a real seminal moment in the history of our Commonwealth, and maybe even in the history of our country, because not only of you being here, but all the policies that are leading us in this direction and the leadership you're showing. So I want to thank you on behalf of Dean and me. Thank you on behalf of Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania. We're grateful for your leadership, and thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you very much. And I have to say that David said, could you just come in and make a quick statement and then you can leave right away? And I said, okay, good, I'll do it. But when I saw the people gathered, I said, I'm not leaving. I want to learn something. And I have learned something. This is the smartest group of talent probably that you've ever had in terms of energy and even finance ever had in one room. So it's an honor to be with you. I used to do what a lot of you guys did. I like this better, though. I don't care. And you're doing a fantastic job, but really it's an honor to be with you, and congratulations. You're going to have tremendous success all over the country, but you're going to have tremendous success in the Commonwealth. So good luck to everybody. And if I can help you, let me know. Thank you very much.
Great to be with you.
All right, that's it. I'm sure they're going to have more discussions throughout the event. We didn't get to see Carp say anything. I'm sure he'll be talking to a lot of people. Just him being there is very important for Palantir as a company and as a brand, which is very important to see. But they didn't ask him to say anything. I mean, realistically, none of the CEOs talked. It wasn't the Anthropic CEO, wasn't Larry Fink, wasn't Karp. It was just a bunch of senators. It was like the only person from business that talked was the CFO of Google. But that's because Google's making a $25 billion investment into Pennsylvania. So you only had 4 or 5 people talk along with Trump. But I'm sure we'll get more information later as the conference continues. Oh, here's another thing that happened today. The All In podcast is hosting a summit with Trump next Wednesday, July 23rd. The All In podcast is hosting a summit next Wednesday. It's an AI summit with Trump, and it's going to be all about winning the AI race. So the half-day event will feature senior Trump administration officials, leading tech founders, and industrial visionaries in a dynamic program focused on expanding the American economy and job creation through AI development, infrastructure investment, and reindustrialization in the United States. Keynote will be given by Trump. Trump's address will follow his day one executive order to remove barriers to American leadership in AI and forthcoming AI action plan. And Shyam Sankar of Palantir will be there. Lisa Su of AMD will be there. And James Litinsky, the CEO of MP Materials, will also be there, along with Jake Howe, Chamath, David Friedberg, and David Sachs. So, I mean, bullish. We got an entire AI conference coming up. Not like a conference, but like a summit on July 23rd. Trump will be there. And again, it's very exciting to see. It's very, very exciting to see. I am not going to be there. I was invited there today, though. One of my contacts reached out and was like, do you want a media pass? I can get you there. And I was about to say yes, because DC is only a couple hours away, but Tesla earnings are July 23rd. And I can't miss Tesla earnings, bro. We can't miss, and Google at the same time. So I would have went if Tesla and Google didn't have earnings. I don't think I would have even gotten a chance to meet Trump or any of those. I mean, if I'm just media, you know, like not everyone in the media gets to meet the president, right? So it would have been cool to be there, though. But dude, we got Tesla Google earnings. That's, to me, that's a bit more important for the entire community than, you know, just being there in DC. But it would have been fun. You can't stream from the summit. They have a no camera policy. So they have very strict media guidelines when you come to these events. They basically take away all your phones and cameras. Now, after this thing is over, you can take pictures and stuff. But during the actual event, you're not allowed to stream or have cameras or all this stuff. The person who reached out to me today said that was like one of their big things, is just like you can't take any pictures or anything until it's done. So I wouldn't have been able to even stream the summit anyway. But dude, we got Tesla earnings, bro. We got Tesla on Wednesday. I'm thinking of buying some Tesla before Wednesday, even if I'm going to be paying an expensive premium, but it is what it is. I am getting ready to officially start the Tesla position in a meaningful way. I'll be selling calls against it to help reduce my cost basis, and the volatility on the calls is amazing. So if Tesla does tank, you know, those calls are pretty good premium regardless. But 280 to 320. Again, that's my range. 280 to 320 for Tesla. It would be fun. It would be fun to go, though. But like, dude, we got Tesla and Google. Like, that's a big deal. Tesla and Google. Those are two major companies, and they're happening at the same time, bro. Like, Tesla and Google have never happened at the same time. Usually, Google's the day before or the day after. Tesla's earnings are at 5:30. Google's at 4:30. So I guess the Google call will end, and then we'll get into the Tesla call. But the Tesla numbers will be out at 4, along with Google. So it's just going to be a lot of stuff happening all at once. And we're going to have to be covering all that. It's next Wednesday, July 23rd. Next Wednesday is this AI summit with the All In podcast and Trump. So that is what we have there from Trump going into next week. All right, macro. Let's get into some macro stuff. So we've been talking a lot on the show about this idea of fund managers and how they need to buy and how they're under allocated. And, you know, the fact that ultimately they ended up missing the run and they need to get some momentum. By the way, H3, thank you for becoming a channel member. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all the new people that have discovered the channel. We do a market open, market close every day. So thank you for being here and being a channel member. Well, take a look at this chart. Take a look at this chart. Global fund managers are rushing into equities. Fund managers' cash allocation, according to a Bank of America survey of 175 participants with $434 billion in assets, has dropped to 3.9%, the second lowest in 12 years. This marks the third consecutive monthly decline since the 4.8% level of cash that was recorded in April. Meanwhile, the risk level investor portfolios, we are at extreme greed, reached its highest level on record dating back to 2001. This comes as fund managers' allocation to technology stocks saw its largest 3-month increase since 2009. Essentially, what you're looking at right here are $434 billion worth of assets that 175 fund managers control collectively. Bank of America surveyed them and found that they are holding 4% of cash, which is some of the lowest levels of cash that we've seen in the past 20 years. October 2022, it was the highest, which, was the bottom, and eventually a lot of that got deployed, and now it's at 3.9%. Now, is this a top? Again, every time we have this conversation about is it a top, is it this a top signal? We have the Pudgy Penguins NFT ETF. Like, is that a top? All of these things feel toppy. Fartcoin feels toppy. But at the end of the day, Nvidia's putting up the growth. Levi's put up the growth. Delta put up the growth. JP Morgan today put up the growth. BlackRock has 12.5 trillion under management. They put up the growth. Citigroup put up the growth. Wells Fargo put up the growth. I mean, the anecdotal things that feel toppy, which I will agree, it obviously feels a bit toppy, does not mean it has to be a top. Especially if Trump just said we're doing 90 billion of AI infrastructure investments, Google doing 25 out of those 90 billion in one freaking state, which is Pennsylvania. I mean, again, a lot of these things feel frothy, but I don't think that necessarily has to mean it's a top signal. And remember, the most important thing about this chart right here is that the reason these fund managers are seeing their average cash level as a percentage of AUM go down is because they missed the rally. And just because you missed the rally doesn't mean if you buy into the rally when the S&P 500 is making new all-time highs means it's the top, right? Usually a top is characterized by a variety of other circumstances. What it means is retail got it right, the street got it wrong, and the street cannot afford to have cash on the sidelines and hope that there's some magic black swan event, like, I don't know, reciprocal tariffs of 75% against random countries, because it already happened. And if it already happened, to expect it to happen again is just hard to imagine, which is why I think they're deploying as much cash as they're deploying. I mean, quite frankly, it's one of the most unique scenarios ever, dude. We got a bear market, April, May, in the middle of a raging bull market that was highlighted by Trump becoming president, right? Because the street was very happy that we got him into office. And then that bear market ended in basically 3 weeks. And we're back to a raging bull market. But now the bull market feels like it has more momentum than if we had. It feels like the bull market has more momentum than if we had never had Liberation Day in the first place. Because after Liberation Day, we got Qatar, we got Saudi, we got investments. We have a bunch of these trade deals that we need a lot more of them, but we do at least have some that are beginning to form. We have Nvidia earnings showing that they're not slowing down. We have Meta paying billions of dollars for talent. We have Google investing 25 billion. I mean, you've got Palantir growing 40%. Like, it feels more bullish than it felt in January, even after we had the Liberation Day stuff, because the Liberation Day stuff ended up not being a big deal, which is pretty incredible. Pretty freaking incredible. What's your price target on Google? I would say by end of year, 200 is like not even fair value. 200 is what would be like the most basic of targets you could ask on Google. I think 225 is more so my fair value. And that's assuming like 20x, 2027 earnings, which I don't think is that. I think it's 22x, which is not crazy at all. Google right now is trading at about 18 times. So yeah, I think 200 end of year and hopefully 225 by the end of 2025. So I don't know, bro. Does it feel toppy, or does it feel like there's, it kind of feels like it's too good to be true. I get it. I feel that sentiment as well. But maybe Dan Ives was right all along, bro. Maybe it was 10 p.m. at the party the whole time. And as a result, maybe we're at 11 p.m., but the earnings growth is not slowing down. I mean, XAI getting ready to buy 100,000 GPUs. Like, this stuff is not, it's just not slowing down. And in a bull market like this, you need those tailwinds that are going to consistently issue new levels of momentum. And if they are not slowing down, then I think the broader market doesn't have to slow down. Okay, we should talk about the Treasury yields, though. We should talk about that because that is a bit concerning. Steve might call in. Steve said he might call in. If he doesn't call in, then he's just probably not going to be able to call in today. He does have a lot to say about Lemonade. So, dude, the Lemonade community has been ripping him up on Twitter, bro. Like ripping him to shreds just of how mad they are about this article. Look at what this one guy said, bro. Look at what this one guy said. And Steve is pissed about this. This guy said, there's really too many corrections needed for this article for me to go over all of it. Regarding the give back, it is voluntary via board approval, and the way it is done means it doesn't affect margins much or limit their ability to reinvest. Steve is talking about how they can donate some of their net income to charity. And Steve's like, if this company is not profitable, why the hell are they giving any money to charity? And there's just a bunch of people that are shitting on him for this article. And so he definitely has something to say. But we'll see if he comes on today. If not, then tomorrow. Okay, bond yield. So we do have some issues, dude. The 10-year spiked this morning. It continues to spike. Folks, we're basically at 4.5. The 30-year is also above 5%, which is not good. Now, here's the difference. Last time the 10-year and the 30-year were spiking this hard. Remember, when people sell off bonds, that's when the yields go up to incentivize people to buy the bonds. The last time this was happening, the stock market was crashing, which is not a good thing. You can't have the stock market crash and bond yields go up because people should be buying bonds when the market's crashing as a flight to safety. So you can't have both things happen at the same time, right? Like it's just not, or you could have them happen. It's just not a good thing. And that's why I think the administration really got scared and they started issuing the pause on the tariffs and the trade deals, yada, yada, and that kind of calmed down the markets. Now, bond yield spiking makes sense because the broader market is saying we're going to sell off our bonds because why the hell would we get 4.49% from a 10-year when we can go up 4% in a day on Nvidia as it breaks 170. And so I don't necessarily know if this is the worst thing in the world for the credit markets. It's definitely not good for refinancing or debt, but it's one of those things where I think the market's going to have to decide how much they care about bond yields. Again, are you really selling your Nvidia because of the 10-year or because of CPI, which CPI this morning came in at 2.7% in line with expectations? Probably not. So if you're not going to be selling your Robinhood, your Palantir, your Tesla, your Nvidia, your AMD, your SoFi, your Google because of the 10-year and CPI, then maybe they don't matter as much. But it's something to keep an eye on. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. Oh, do we have an Amazon update? Do we have an Amazon update? Hold on. Let me pull this up. I think we do. What is this? Amazon turns to rival SpaceX to launch the next batch of Cooper internet satellites. Wait, so that means they're going to be using SpaceX to launch their satellites? What were they using before? What were they using before? Hold on, this is bullish SpaceX, right? This is bullish. This is bullish, right? So if they're using SpaceX to launch their next batch of satellites, they were actually, wait, Blue Origin was actually launching stuff for them? I thought Blue Origin, dude, I thought Blue Origin wasn't even like actually launching stuff into the atmosphere. I didn't know Blue Origin was actually that big yet. Wow, dude. And you know who owns Blue Origin? Mr. Jeff Bezos. So the fact that his company is switching from Blue Origin to SpaceX. Amazon is racing to catch up to SpaceX's Starlink, which currently dominates the market with a constellation of roughly 8,000 satellites. Okay, so this is bullish SpaceX, but bearish Starlink because Amazon's kind of competing with Starlink here. These deployments are key steps towards Amazon's goal of offering satellite broadband service to consumers. Okay, this makes sense. Business and AWS clients by late 2025. Okay, so they're competing with Starlink, whereas Amazon right here, but they're using, that is a crazy business. You have to compete with someone's business. You have to use their product and service to get the satellites in the air to then compete with their other offering, which is the other portion of their business, one of the more valuable parts of their business, which is Starlink. You have to use their satellite launches. That's pretty incredible, dude. That's pretty incredible. Wow. So Amazon is going to SpaceX to compete with Starlink. Dude, okay, well, where's Rocket Lab on this? Rocket Lab getting any love? Rocket Lab 44.54. Rocket Lab's flat. It's Kyper, that's how you say it? I said Cooper, it's Kyper? Okay. Why is there a U then? Why can't it just be Kiper? Why is there a U there? That U messes everything up. Why can't they just spell it the way it sounds? Like, why is the English language like that? I don't get it. Like, just spell it the right way. Okay, Project Kyper on Amazon. Project Kyper is Amazon's satellite broadband network. Dude, I'm going to be honest. I had no idea Amazon was even competing with Starlink in freaking broadband connectivity. I did not know they were competing. It's Kyper? Oh, of course. Why not? Why not be called Kyper? It's not Cooper. It's not Kipper. It's Kyper. Because that I, for some reason, sounds like EYE. Of course. Why not? Of course. This is ridiculous, bro. This is absolutely ridiculous. Like, 2 attempts. I couldn't get it right. 2 attempts. Like, but does anyone look at Kuiper and say, oh, Kyper? Like, no. Like, my brain does not see that and say Kyper. It's Dutch. Okay, well, that's why. That's why we're having these issues. Dutch, English, German, French. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get it wrong on the first 2 attempts anyway. All right, so Project Kyper is Amazon's low Earth orbit satellite broadband network. Its mission is to deliver fast, reliable internet to customers and communities around the world. I had no idea Amazon was working on something like this. And now they're using SpaceX. That's the news right here, to be able to launch their satellites. Okay, here's a video from Amazon they put out 3 months ago. Let me pull this up. I've never seen this before, but this is Project Kyper.
It all starts with a countdown. But a countdown to what exactly? 6 years ago, we took on a journey to build the most advanced and the most modern communication system in the world. There are almost 3 billion people that don't have high-speed connectivity. Imagine if they had the ability to be connected just like you and I do, what they could do, what contributions they could make.
This mission is ambitious for a truly worthy cause. It's going to impact communities that cannot be reached with fiber traditional communications. The solution really has to be from space.
Wait, so ASTS is not only competing with Starlink, they're competing with Kyper now. So that's 2 big tech companies that ASTS is competing with. I thought it was just Starlink, but yeah, it's SpaceX and Amazon, it seems like.
You can think of Project Kyper as a 3-part system: the satellite constellation, the customer terminal, and just as critically, the ground network and software that ultimately deliver connectivity. We have set out to design the most advanced satellite network ever built, and we have created the whole thing in-house at Amazon. You need just about every technology area to contribute to build the satellite: the propulsion system, the solar arrays, the silicon, the phased array antennas, the optical inter-satellite links.
The team has to be innovative, agile, resilient as we're moving very, very fast. Building, testing, developing in-house has been an extraordinary ingredient.
When we first proposed Project Kyper internally, one of the first questions was, can you produce an affordable customer terminal? We knew that was going to be the linchpin of our system.
The big breakthrough for us was combining transmit and receive antennas into a single aperture. No one had ever done this in the K-band. That let us pack a ton of performance into a really compact, really low-cost design. We're going to build tens of millions of these antennas, and we are well on our way. The design is done. We're now in the factory manufacturing it.
We talk about the satellites in constellation, but Kyper is a satellite constellation being operated as a network across hundreds of ground gateway terminals.
Our ground network is spread out all over the world, and each site connects back to AWS. We already have a bunch of these sites installed everywhere from Australia to Germany, and more of them are coming online every month.
There's a big difference between launching 2 satellites and launching 3,000 satellites.
The past couple.
Okay, we'll get back to this. You guys saw my jaw drop while I was watching this. It's not because of Project Kyper, although this looks pretty freaking cool, dude. Like the fact that it's all connected with AWS and the data centers, it looks pretty freaking cool. We'll talk about this in a second. But folks, Peter Thiel just bought 9.1% of BMNR. Holy freaking crap. Where is BMNR right now? Is that one up after hours? No, that's doing nothing. Wow, it's not moving at all after hours? It's doing nothing. Well, okay, he might not have literally bought it right now. No, but this is a form that says he bought immediate. Like, this has to be disclosed as soon as he buys. Dude, BMNR is doing nothing on this news. It's red after hours. Now, why would Peter Thiel be buying this? Because Founders Fund, let me say that again, Founders Fund, that is the VC arm of Peter Thiel, was one of the backers of BMNR. One of the backers initially of BMNR for that $250 million ETH private placement was Founders Fund. They have believed in Ethereum and Bitcoin for a long time. Peter Thiel is the chairman of Founders Fund. But this looks like an individual position by Mr. Peter Thiel. This has nothing to do with Founders Fund. This is him putting his own $5 million. Is that 5 million? Yeah, 5 million into this is 5 million, right? Yeah, 5 million. It's not 5 billion. 5 million. Yeah, there's no way. It's 5 million into BMNR. But why is no one reacting? The stock, like, nothing, bro. It was at 39.50. It's at 40.40. You would think Peter Thiel, bro. That's a big name. That's not a small name getting into this. And although the Founders Fund is in, like, you would imagine this would be, like, bullish. Now, maybe people are still reacting to this because it just came out. Yeah, 5 million can't be 9%. Is it 5 million shares then instead of $5 million? Well, okay, 9.1% is on the SEC filing. So, no, it's 5 million shares. Sorry, it's 5 million shares. 5 million shares. So 5 million times 40, that's a $200 million position. So we don't know what price he got it at, but at this moment, it's if he bought it at anywhere near this 35 to 40, it's 200 million. Dude, okay, Peter Thiel is not the type of guy to buy a stock like crazy when it runs up. Okay, now you're getting a little bit of a candle right there. There she goes. Now she's moving a little bit. If he actually bought it at $40, there she goes. She's moving. All right, now it's hitting the business wires. Now it's hitting. Now people are probably wondering why it's moving. They're probably finding out. There she goes, 41.88. If he actually bought at freaking $40 after a 4x, the date of the filing is July 8th. Okay, so then hold on. What was the price on July 8th? What was the price on July 8th of BMNR? July 8th. Well, July 8th is when it pumped though, right? No, July 8th, it was at 150. So he had to July 3rd, it was 150. Where was it July 8th? July 8th, it was the whole day. It was at 100, July 8th. The whole day. The whole day. It was at 107 to 113, 115 the whole day. Back at 43. Okay, hold on. So if he bought 5 million shares, but that doesn't make sense, dude. That would be a $500 million position. The market cap is not even, the market cap's 240 million. This doesn't make any sense. I think what happened is he bought 5 million shares before they announced the private placement, and it's just being filed after. There's no way in hell he bought 5 million shares at $100. That's $500 million. That's not possible. That's not possible. The market cap. Well, hold on. Today, the market cap is 248 million. I'm getting that wrong. What was the market cap when it was at freaking 106? I mean, theoretically, he could be bag holding it, right? But this is not like Peter Thiel does not buy when stocks run up, bro. He is a net seller every time there's a dramatic move. He is not someone to buy when a stock much less 20x's, if not goes up by 20%. Like, that's just not his history if you've seen him invest. Yeah, dude, how does he own 5 million if the float is only 4 million shares? What is going on? We got to get some details on this. What the hell's going on? Okay, this is Robinhood's fault. That's why I'm confused. Robinhood legend. The market cap is not 250 million. It's 3.2 billion. This is Robinhood's fault. Webull gives you the actual market cap. Sorry about that. That's Robinhood. Yeah, the market cap is 3.2 billion. Okay, this makes a lot more sense. So if he did buy 5 million shares at like $100, that would be 500 million. And that day, the stock was basically a $7 billion market cap, roundabout, right? which would be about 8%. So let's put this together. The market cap today is 3 million. It was a little bit more than way more than double. It was about 2.2x what it is right now. No, more than that. It was 2.7x what it is today. Yeah, almost 2.7x. So 108 was the price. So that means 2.7 times 3.2. The market cap was, call it 9 billion. If he bought $500 million, 5 million shares times 100, 5 million shares times $100 a share, that gives you round about 7.5%. It's not exactly 9%. I'm getting some of the numbers wrong here, but yeah, this does make sense. I'm not as specific on the numbers right here. BMR, there you go, 11% after hours. Now she's moving. 45. But if this was filed on July 8th and he bought on July 8th, if we look at July 8th, we did not have these prices. July 8th, the lowest we had was 95. So if he bought anywhere in that the reason I'm probably getting the numbers wrong too is because he didn't buy exactly at 100. His stake is probably worth like 570 million because maybe he bought at 110 a share versus $100 a share times 5 million shares. That gets you pretty close to 9%. Which means he's bag holding by 50%, bro. That means he's bag holding by 50%. How many of you bought this shit when I said the news? How many of you bought it? Amid, I bought 100 shares right when you shared it at 40. Well, there you go. This is the fun of being live. Dude, and it didn't move for a minute, bro. That news came out and this thing was stuck from 39 to 41, I would say for at least 2 minutes. You had 2 minutes to get in if you saw the news break live without the move. And there you go, 14%. 14%. I just bought 500 and I made 825 bucks. There you go. There you go. Not bad. So you guys are some degens, bro. I bought 100 ASAP. I bought 200. I should have bought some. Goodness, bro. I'm the one looking at the news. I should have broke this shit. I should have bought some. Oh, now she's moving. Now she's moving. There you go. 45. 45. Okay, so this filing can't be wrong. 5.1 million shares is what Peter Thiel has, 9.1%. It's not a 10% position yet. That means right now his stake, if we do the math, let's just do 5.1. Let's do the exact one. 5,094,000 times 45. That's where the price is. 45. His stake is worth 229 million. 229 million. And the market cap right here is about 3.3 billion. 3.3. Which is about a 7.6% stake. So if we have the exact numbers, we're getting close to 9%. So that is correct. He has a 9% stake. But if he bought it $100, he's bag holding by 50%. More than 50%, actually. And he probably bought at 110, 115, because there's no way he got the actual bottom. I mean, maybe he did, but if he didn't, then he's bag holding by more than 50% right here. Wow, she's moving. 17%. She's moving. Is what you expected, right? It's Peter freaking Thiel. There's no way the street can fade that. It's Peter Thiel. 17%. There you go. Should have bought some, bro. I was looking at the chart like, why isn't it moving? What's going on? I should have been buying. I should have been like, well, if it's not moving, it's about to move. It's Peter freaking Thiel. But that's okay. Hopefully you guys made some money there. This is definitely not because of me, bro. This is the terminal, the business wires, all of them. See, when Peter Thiel's name goes across the board, people pay attention, bro. It's Peter freaking Thiel. Everyone, whether they love him or hate them, cares about Peter Thiel when he makes a position. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to be right about this, but the point is he's buying. Dude, that's crazy, though. That's a $500 million stake. That's a $500 million stake that he's down 50% on, but still. Peter Thiel's not that type of guy, bro. I'm gonna show you guys a clip in a second about him talking about when he sold Facebook too early. Peter Thiel is not the type of guy to buy into a pump. He tends to sell into those, not buy. Like, that's just not his personality. So this is weird. And this is his personal money. This isn't his company. This isn't a founders fund. They already are backing the equity raise. This feels different right here. Wow, Irmo says I'm up $5,000. Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. It's holding. It's down from 47, but it's holding 17%. 17%. Watch him sell tomorrow. I don't think he would, because again, Founders Fund is backing up the Treasury. So if he were to sell, it would just look really bad on Founders Fund. Also, he can't sell. I mean, unless this thing gets back to 100, he's bag holding, and if he sells, he's going to be breaking even. So if he bought at $100, which is a 20x from where the stock was on July 3rd, or July 2nd, meaning a 2,000% return, more than 20x, then that means he's got to be very freaking bullish about Ethereum, right? Like I don't know how else we dice it if that's how he's framing it right here. Let me see if I can find this video, dude. There's a really good video on Peter Thiel selling Facebook too early. And I think it's one of those videos that will contextualize why I'm so surprised by this. He is not the type of guy to be buying this stuff, dude. Oh, yeah, here's the video. Here's Peter Thiel talking to Piers Morgan on how he thinks of buying and selling. This is pretty incredible, bro. BMR, my goodness, this is going to get a ton of volatility. Shout out to John. This is their post. This is a big account in the Palantir community. And they posted this back in 2024. Here's Peter Thiel talking about how he thinks about selling.
Facebook shares, you were obviously on the board there for many, many years. You were one of the first investors. You sold the shares for $638 million in 2012 when the IPO came up. Had you stuck with them, you would have made another $2 billion. Does that eat away at you? Or given that you've got another 15, does it not really touch the sides of your sleep pattern?
I think one of the things that was very hard to gauge on the big tech companies, and there was a way I understood it and a way I did not, was just how they were going to scale and scale and scale, and how the returns to scale were so enormous. And I don't know, you could think of it almost a fractal sense where you add one digit to the market capitalization of the company, and how hard is it to add a digit? How hard is it to go from a company worth 10 million to 100 million? Facebook was worth 5 million in 2004. It was worth 85 million in 2005, 525 million in 2006, 15 billion in 2007. It went a little bit sideways. Was worth still around 10 billion in 2009, around 100 billion at the IPO in 2012. Today it's 1.5 trillion. And probably the incorrect view I had back in 2012 was that it was fractal up to 100 billion. And so you go from 10 to 100 million to a billion to 10.
Peter Thiel is saying he thought Meta would only be a $100 billion company. Remember, he funded them when they were worth $5 million. So it was one of the best returns ever. But this guy is saying, I thought Meta was going to top out at $100 billion. And here he is buying BMNR, an Ethereum Treasury, 20x above its price 2 weeks ago. If the filing is correct that he did buy it on July 8th and buy 5 million shares. I mean, what is going on, bro? What is going on? Like, this is not like Peter Thiel. This is just unbelievable, dude. Absolutely incredible. W. Lou, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you, Amit, for the BMNR info. I'm just here reporting it live. So congrats to those that took some action on it, because it was stuck for a good 2 minutes before the news really went mainstream. So congrats on that. Mr. G, thank you for the $100. I think, Mr. G, you might have made some money on BMNR. Thank you so much for the $100 super chat. Appreciate it. Tony, thank you for the $20 super chat. And then Ash Free, thank you to $5 super chat. Dinner on me in Miami. Appreciate you guys for the super chats. I mean, I'm happy people are making money. I'm just very freaking surprised that Peter Thiel chased BMNR. Again, guys, he is bag holding. If this was filed on July 8th, the lowest he could have possibly bought BMNR at was $95. Stock's at 45. He probably didn't buy at 95, which means he's down more than 50%. And if he bought it up 20x because he thinks Ethereum's going to what, 10, 15, 20,000, then he thinks BMNR is going way higher than that. And it looks like that's ultimately why he made the purchase.
10 billion to 100 billion. Those were each difficult, but each equally difficult steps. That somehow going from 100 billion to a trillion was maybe much harder. And maybe in retrospect, going from 100 billion to a trillion was actually the easiest of the orders of magnitude, because once you were at 100 billion, in some sense, you'd gotten to a big enough scale that it was easy to scale. It was relatively easy to do the next order of magnitude scale. Nobody thought people were going to do it. So it was somehow both, as an investor, you always want to invest in things that are true and contrarian. So somehow going from 100 billion to a trillion was the easiest. People thought it was the hardest. And so that combination suggests that that was actually sort of in some sense, the lowest risk order of magnitude to scale. And that's certainly something I did not conceive of back in 2012.
Was that your biggest mistake as an investor, getting out of Facebook too early?
Oh, man, there probably are all sorts of mistakes, but it's you don't stress about them that much.
Mark Zuckerberg doesn't think it's easy about it.
It's the biggest mistake people make is never making mistakes.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I've probably made a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of things I've gotten wrong conceptually. There are ideas I have that they're not always correct. They're also.
This is why I love Peter Thiel. He always brings it back to philosophy. The biggest mistake is not making any mistakes. He's right about that. But again, this is not a guy who tends to just buy on the pump. He tends to sell on the pump. He sold $1 billion worth of Palantir at $34 last year. I mean, I cannot make sense of him buying BMR at these prices. I mean, unless he thinks that Ethereum is about to go crazy, bro. That's the only conclusion you can bring up. Ethereum right here up a little bit after hours, 3,049 right now. Dude. Yeah, we talked about Bezos. Bezos sold about 1.5 billion. Bezos has about 43% left of the 5 billion to sell on his filings, but he sold 1.5 billion today. Is this bullish Palantir? I mean, I don't know if the Ethereum thing is connected to Palantir, but I guess the correlation would be that, well, Peter Thiel hasn't sold Palantir in a long time. Last time he sold was, if I'm not wrong, March through May of like September 2024. No. It was way before that. It was at $34. When was that? Yeah, basically May of 2024, around about that time. Maybe July, August as well. So he hasn't sold since. I think he donated $1 billion to a nonprofit or something through his foundation. So he might have given away $1 billion of stock, but he has not had a filing. I mean, I think he has had a couple in the hundreds or in the 80s, but he hasn't had a $1 billion sale again. So I guess the bullish takeaway on this on Palantir is maybe he's thinking, goodness, this market is not slowing down. And maybe I should hold on to my Palantir if he's buying freaking BMR up 14% after hours. I mean, dude, if you're a billionaire that missed Bitcoin, you load up on Ethereum, especially with all these stablecoins going public. Tom Lee says it's going to 10K by end of year. Tom Lee doesn't say 10K end of year. I think he says 10K end of cycle, which I think end of cycle is closer to end of 2026. Now, granted, I mean, 10K might be the base. If it actually gets up to 10K, you might have a lot of FOMO, a lot of people piling in. Maybe 10K is conservative, but that would be a 3X from here, which would be enough to get BMR to, who knows, maybe do another 10X from here. It's already still up 10X from the lows. But yeah, 10K could be the floor, I think. Yeah, Tom also did say 150K Bitcoin by end of year 2024. That's fair. He also said 60K in 2025 before hitting 250. And we've gotten nowhere near 60. I don't know if we're going to get anywhere near 250. But still, dude, goodness, this is wild. I cannot believe Mr. Teal bought BMR. Yeah, BMR was $600 back in 2021. They had a ton of reverse splits. I mean, this company was dead, bro. No one knows what the hell BitMine Emerging Technologies was. It is only because of Tom Lee. And again, Tom Lee does have Founders Fund that's supporting him to make that $250 million private placement on Ethereum. And so it makes sense with the Founders Fund connection that Peter Thiel's in this. But this is his personal money. This is $500 million of his personal freaking money. $500 million. I mean, dude, I don't care how rich you are. That's still a decent chunk of money. And he's throwing it into freaking BMR. He's throwing it into BMR. 9.1% stake. Founders Fund was part of the $250 million private placement. He's not bag holding. Well, dude, if this was filed on July 8th and this is his money, this is not Founders Fund filing it. This is Peter Thiel. unless there's some connection there that I don't know about in regards to how they like actually report it, which maybe there is. Maybe I'm getting it totally wrong. Maybe Peter Thiel and Founders Fund are synonymous and they actually bought it like $10. Then that's fine. But if it was filed on July 8th and now we're seeing it, I mean, it might be his money. Yeah, it doesn't feel like the Founders Fund. It's his money. And again, the numbers actually make sense. If he bought it at around 105 a share, at the time the market cap was 9 billion, you do the math, that's close to 8.5 to 9%. If you have the exact digits, I'm sure it would get to about 9.1%. And obviously it's different now because the stock is down more than 50%. But at the time, that's 9%. That's just about 9% of a stake on 5 million shares. They are not doing a crypto vote again today. They are not. We are not having another crypto vote today. We will potentially have one in the coming weeks, but not today. Today we are done with those crypto votes. But based on what we heard today, it does seem like the crypto vote will happen, even if it doesn't happen. Even if it doesn't happen soon, it's just like a procedural way of how to get those 3 bills all together versus getting them separated. So it seemed like more of a logistical hurdle today versus like ideologically Republicans that didn't believe in crypto. Dude, it's still moving 18% after hours, folks. It's still wait, where's SBET? Where is freaking SBET? SBET, that's up another 3% after hours. And then where's BTBT? That's up 0.5%. Okay, so here's the question. Here's the real question, okay? This is the question. Yeah, we're no technical Tuesday today. Jason's wife is sick, so he couldn't make it today. Here's the real question. Are we going to get a ton of billionaires and like really big celebrities to buy into Ethereum and make it popular the way that they did for Bitcoin? Like, are we going to have the Larry Finks of the world? Are we going to have Scottie Pippen, who, for those that don't know him, he's a basketball player from the Chicago Bulls, and he tweets about Bitcoin every day. Like, are we going to get that type of hype on Ethereum? Because if we are, I can understand why Peter Thiel is getting in and he doesn't care that he's down 50%. Because if Ethereum's going to 3x, I mean, yeah, this is probably going to become the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. But like, do you believe it'll do that? Ethereum net inflows on BlackRock's ETF, 350 million yesterday. I mean, that's the best performance it's had in like a year and a half since inception. So you are seeing some more momentum, I think, across the street on Ethereum. I do not own Ethereum. No, I do not own it. I've been thinking of it, but like, again, I love Robinhood to be my exposure to it. I know Robinhood is not literally direct exposure, but I enjoy owning the casino that houses Ethereum and Bitcoin. But look, if Ethereum's going to 3x, I have no problem buying it. I'm just like, I'm still on the fence of like, is Ethereum going to pull a Bitcoin? Because it hasn't. Bitcoin's made its move. Solana's made its move. Freaking XRP has made its move. Fartcoin has made its move. Is Ethereum going to make its move? Ethereum's going to 100K. Is it even possible? I mean, like that could, but like there's not a supply demand shock like there is on Bitcoin. Again, I'm pretty uneducated on Ethereum. I don't know that much about it, but like there isn't that same type of like once you buy an Ethereum coin, it's like, you know, like once you buy a Bitcoin, they're not making any more of them. It's like, well, for Ethereum, that's not necessarily true. ETH supply is unlimited. That is correct. What would you value the current financial infrastructure at? Okay, so the question is, do you think Ethereum is the blockchain that fundamentally replaces the current financial infrastructure of the global economy? I mean, yeah, if that's the case, then sure. Ethereum's going to well above 100,000 at that point. Because that market cap would be probably underestimating the global financial system. But is Ethereum going to be the blockchain that it's all built on? Can it even get to like 2% of what everything is built on? I think we got to do the Ethereum deep dive, dude. I think we got to, if you know about Ethereum, message me on Twitter. Let's do that on Thursday. We can talk about the treasuries. We can talk about it as an asset class. I mean, it would be important for everyone during this time to learn what the hell Ethereum is. I think that's the deep dive this week. I think that's the deep dive. The reason Ethereum died the first time was gas fees. Have they fixed that? I believe to an extent they have. And when you mean fix that, I think it's even more nuanced than like, did they fix it or not? It's about like the amount of people that are using the network and then the overall guardrails they have on the network to be able to facilitate massive amounts of demand from a decentralized finance perspective. That's what Solana got. So, I mean, remember, every single meme coin, Trump coin, fart coin, yeah, they're all built on Solana. That is why Solana went from 9 to 200 from the end of 2022 to currently right now. It's at like 150 right now, or 170. It got to almost 300 at one point. So Solana just became a faster blockchain for people to use, and meme coins require massive amounts of speed in regards to all the trading volumes. Ethereum, I don't know. I don't know if Ethereum is, you know, becoming that type of a blockchain for the global financial system. Ethereum is at 3,060, 3,060.18. BitMine, 18%, folks, 4,750. 4,750 on BMR. It's moved to layer 2. Okay, so I don't know how to explain layer 2, layer 1. I have no idea how to explain that stuff. So that's why we need to do the deep dive. I know that Robinhood's building their blockchain for tokenization on Arbitrum, I believe is how you say it, which is a layer 2 on Ethereum. I cannot explain to you what the difference is between layer 1 or layer 2. I mean, my intuition is that layer 2 is a blockchain that's built on top of Ethereum, so it's leveraging Ethereum, but it's not literally directly on Ethereum. But this is why we need to do the deep dive later this week. There you go, bro. Did I say currently right now again? All right, there you go. We got one. We got it currently right now. Peter Thiel takes a 9.1% stake in Ethereum. Okay, the stablecoin thesis is why it's piqued my interest. I mean, that's exactly what Tom Lee said, right? His entire argument on my podcast when we did it was Ethereum treasuries, or Ethereum as an asset class is going to benefit from stablecoin, and then he explained the overall treasury thesis as well. So let me just play that clip right here. Here's him. This is like 2 minutes of him explaining why he is so bullish on Ethereum.
Let's talk about what you introduced on Monday. So BitMine, you are now the chairman of the board, and
Ethereum.
First question here is, why Ethereum?
Well, you know, Ethereum, we got, I'm sure the audience kind of knows Ethereum, but I like Ethereum because it's a programmable smart contract blockchain.
Right.
Okay. But that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
I would say the real reason I kind of would say I backed into Ethereum is that stable coins are really taking off.
Circle, $70 billion company.
Circle's like the best IPO in 5 years.
Correct.
And it trades at 100 times EBITDA. And it has made the performance. For some funds, it has made their year.
Wow.
It's what put people in the top 1%. So proof in the traditional Wall Street world, Circle.
Stop saying right or correct in the chat, bro. We've been through this. I apologize for it already. There's like 50 comments saying right and correct. Goodness gracious, dude.
Is like God level stock.
Right.
And it's a stable coin. Stable coins are the ChatGPT of crypto because it's really crossed over into the mainstream. But it's really evidence that Wall Street is trying to equitize tokens.
Correct.
But then the crypto world is tokenizing equities because they tokenized $1, right? And then now you're seeing, oh, JP Morgan wants their own stablecoin, Amazon, Walmart, Goldman. Well, stable coins are a great business model and they work really well for consumers and merchants, but they all have to operate on a blockchain.
Correct.
And the majority of stablecoin transactions take place on Ethereum.
Mm.
So Ethereum's been like kind of out of favor. You know, it peaked at close to 5,000 several years ago, and it was stuck at like, you know, 1,400, 1,500. It's back to like 2,400. But stablecoins are only 250 billion today.
Correct.
It's 30% of the gas fees on Ethereum. And Ethereum mints more than 50% of all stablecoin creations. Treasury Secretary Scott.
He loves them.
Yep. And he says he thinks it's a $2 trillion market, which is 10x increase. The US government wants more stablecoins because stablecoins collectively are the 12th largest holder of treasuries.
Correct.
and they're creating a lot of dollarization. 80% of stablecoin usage is outside the U.S.
Right.
So, but a 10 times increase in stablecoin creations is a exponential growth in gas fees for Ethereum. So I think Ethereum is a very direct beneficiary of Wall Street trying to equitize crypto.
Correct.
And crypto tokenizing equity. It's literally sits in the middle.
So that's his explanation. His argument is that stablecoins, 30% of the gas fees go to are done through Ethereum's blockchain, and that the current market is 250 billion. Tom Lee thinks it's going to 2 trillion. If you go from 250 to 2 trillion, a 10x increase, and you're collecting 30% of the gas fees. I mean, theoretically, that should make Ethereum more valuable. Even if you have to say correct or right or every time when you're hearing the thesis on Ethereum becoming more valuable. So there you go. I mean, that's his thesis in a nutshell. We'll do a deep dive this week and try to get some more details, but I feel like that is his argument for why you would be bullish on Ethereum. Dude, next time I do a podcast, I am going to censor myself every time the guest says something and takes a bit of a pause. Because the reason I say correct or right or all that stuff is to like kind of fill in that very minute pause, which is not really needed. I could be just like nodding my head, but like, you know, it's good once in a while. It's not good after every freaking sentence, but like once in a while, yeah, you can throw in a correct, a yes, a right. But I think if you count up the amount of times, it was like over 100, bro. It's a bit ridiculous. So yeah, next time we won't do that. But there you go, dude. I mean, like Peter Thiel buying into BMNR. Buying into BMNR. That's what we got. It wasn't that much of a pause. Okay, fine. You're right. Like, I don't know, dude. I usually don't do that. I've never done that in interviews. I don't know. And I wasn't really nervous either. I just, you know, maybe I actually was agreeing with everything he was. It's Tom freaking Lee. He's always right. Every freaking word he uttered, I was like, yes, right, correct. I mean, that's like that's what I'm thinking when he's on CNBC every day. Maybe it was just like natural to agree with him every time he said something. So bro was throwing in ad libs. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. As ad libs. The worst part about this, I could have edited it out. I could have literally just like silenced those parts. It would have taken me a couple hours, but I could have done it. But I didn't notice it. A lot of you guys didn't notice it either until I pointed it out, until the comments pointed it out. But most people said they didn't even notice. But once you hear it, it's hard to unhear it. And that's what we had. So, okay, we got to go back to Amazon, bro. This whole Peter Thiel thing took us away from Amazon. Let's finish this Amazon video. They're competing with freaking Starlink here. And then we got David Sachs live. Let's take a look at him. But let's and then we got Lutnik. All right, so we have a couple other things we'll look at. But let me pull up Project Kyper. And we'll finish that, and then we'll keep going.
Coming online every month.
There's a big difference between launching 2 satellites and launching 3,000 satellites.
The past couple of years, my team has really been focused on how to achieve scale. Our own dedicated payload processing facility gives us the ability to control our own destiny. We've got the capacity to integrate up to 5 satellites per day and launch 3 simultaneous campaigns. Heavy lift rockets have higher performance, so we can take more satellites to orbit on any given launch. All of our heavy lift launch partners have had a successful first flight. So that's been a pretty exciting thing for us to see because we made those investments years in advance.
All of the pieces have come together to support that first launch and the next one and the one after that. It might not all go perfectly, but we have an incredible commitment to this project and an incredible team committed to its mission. All roads lead here, a countdown to launch. And with more than 80 missions planned, we're just getting started.
It is so hard to be bearish Amazon. I mean, they have their fingers in literally everything, bro. Can you honestly say in the chat if you knew Amazon was competing with SpaceX on broadband internet? I had no idea. I had no idea Project Kyper was a thing, but apparently it is. So Project Kyper, Amazon Satellite Internet Initiative, aims to deploy a constellation of 3,000 satellites to provide global broadband coverage. The project has launched 2 prototype satellites and 54 operational satellites as of June 2025. The initial phase of deployment will involve 578 satellites at a specific orbital attitude and inclination. Amazon plans to begin offering service to customers later this year. Okay, so here's the question. Here's the question I have. And there might be an easy answer to this, but can someone in the chat tell me why Amazon is not going with Rocket Lab to launch these satellites? Why are they going with SpaceX? Is it because Rocket Lab can't get into as large of an orbit or as high of an orbit as SpaceX? Is that the reason? Or is there something else? Like, is the goal of Neutron to be able to get a contract like this from Amazon's Project Kyper? Or like, what is the reason Rocket Lab can't do it? It's too much of a small rocket, satellite size and weight. The rocket's too small. The volume of it is too much. Cost and size, payload and cost efficiency. Okay, those are reasonable arguments. Neutron fixes that though, right? Like that's why everyone's hyped up on Neutron so much. Like Neutron fixes that. That is why there is so much hype on getting this thing into production. Rocket Lab right here, after hours, 44.53. Not really moving after hours. It's had an amazing move this week so far, but not moving too much after hours. Okay, so SpaceX over Blue Origin is getting this contract as of what was announced after hours. And it's just wild to me that Amazon has to use SpaceX to compete with SpaceX. That truly is that not wild to everybody that Amazon wants to compete with Starlink, but in order to do it, they need to use the launch product from SpaceX to be able to compete with their broadband product, which is Starlink. I mean, that is just incredible. It shows you a moat on SpaceX, but then it also shows you Amazon's not slowing down. They want to offer everything. After Neutron gets to scale, yeah, so it seems like Neutron would have this as one of its broader use cases once it hits scale. This is pretty incredible, dude. Pretty freaking incredible. Wow. All right. Well, Amazon, it continues to gain momentum right here, 226, even with Bezos selling 1.5 billion. The market doesn't care. Amazon's trading at about a 29 PE, not crazy. Apple still is at 30, and Apple's not growing at all in the context of Amazon. So looks like they will be using SpaceX, which is bullish SpaceX. I feel like it's bullish Rocket Lab, even if Rocket Lab's not getting this contract, because at the end of the day, it shows how much momentum there is, how much of a TAM there is for space launches going into space. What I didn't think of, though, is ASTS, correct me if I'm wrong, they're competing with Amazon and SpaceX. I did not know that. I thought their major competitor was Starlink. It looks like Kyper, and I don't know everything about Kyper, but it seems like that is a competitor, even if it's not a crazy competitor, or as much of a sophisticated one as Starlink. It looks like that still is, to an extent, a competitor. Teal could have bought on June 30th if he bought a 5 to 10% stake. If he bought a 10% stake, he had to report it within 2 days. Yeah, I'm going to try to get some more details on this BMR thing, because it's hard for me to believe Peter Thiel bought this thing at $100. It really, it's hard for me to believe that. BMR is still up about 15.9% after hours. Maybe he bought it a couple weeks before and now it's getting disclosed. But ultimately, we will have to see. All right, here's Lutnik talking about the Indonesia tariffs. Let's see what he had to say about that.
Market, Mr. Secretary, keeps going up. It feels like the market's not believing that the worst of the tariffs is going to happen. Something, again, you and I talked about in Phoenix, and you've talked about on CNBC with others before. Is the market getting it right? Because a lot of investors are watching the market go up, up, up.
President Trump is smashing down the barriers that have held American business back. For 80 years, tariffs were on America. So when we tried to sell elsewhere, there were tariffs. And when they tried to sell here, no tariffs. So our industries went overseas. President Trump is reversing that trend. 0 tariffs away. Those are the deals he's made. Vietnam, he announced Indonesia just this morning. No tariffs there. They pay tariffs here. switching the asymmetry our way. Let's bring industry back, and that's going to unleash our farmers, our ranchers, our fishermen, and our industries are going to blow out, and that is what the stock market understands. Donald Trump understands
You feel like
business in
you
America.
said in Phoenix that you had a deal in your hand. You wouldn't tell us who. You wouldn't tell me. I tried, but you wouldn't tell me who the deal was with. Turns out it was with the UK. Are you confident we can get these the big ones, the big deals done?
I have them done. The question is, President Trump drives the strongest bargain. He's the deal maker. He makes the deals. This morning, he was on with the president of Indonesia, and he makes the deals. That's how this administration works. We let the greatest deal maker who's ever been in that office, he makes the deals.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik.
All right, you got Lutnik saying that these deals are coming. We got Indonesia today. I actually think it's a pretty good deal based on the details that we got today. Hopefully, we get a lot more coming up, but we kind of need these deals to continue giving us momentum and not getting us into this August 1st deadline. And these are the details of what we got from Indonesia today. So there you go. There you go. The big news of the day today. That makes no sense, but currently right now. The big news of the day today, currently right now, is that Peter Thiel's buying up BMR and Nvidia is still holding 170. Are we still 170 after hours? Nvidia, 170 still after hours. Ethereum making a little bit of a move. We haven't had these levels since January 2025. You have not seen 3,070 since January 2025. So we are seeing a little bit on Ethereum. Now, Indonesia has not put out a statement on this yet. The stuff I showed you just now from my tweet were from Trump's Truth Social post. I would imagine Indonesia is going to back this up. If they come out tomorrow and say they didn't agree to any of this, it would be a bit awkward. So hopefully they issue a statement confirming everything. But as of now, we don't have any official partnership from them yet. You know, by the way, guys, do you remember Peter Teal went bearish on Bitcoin back at 60K? Do you guys remember this? Let me pull up the clip, bro. He said I don't think it's going that much higher. Oh, let me see if I can find the clip, dude. Peter Teal. So this is another reason it's surprising me. It's just like, yeah, here it is. I mean, it's one of those things where if he's buying Ethereum over Bitcoin, maybe he thinks the Bitcoin run is over, but he also felt Bitcoin wasn't going to move that much a while ago, and it has. And maybe he's thinking, okay, Ethereum's next if it's going to be institutionalized.
We are at the Aspen Ideas. I think it will maintain its position for a while. I suspect Nvidia will. I think it will maintain its position for a while. I think the game theory on it is something like all the big tech companies are going to start to try to design their own AI chips, so they don't have to do the 10x markup to Nvidia. And then how hard is it for them to do it? How long will it take? If they all do it, then the chips become a commodity and nobody makes money in chips.
I also asked Teal about TikTok, given his is very succinct, and I want to show you that right now.
Have you sold any of your Bitcoin? I still hold some. There are all these ways I didn't buy as much as I should have, and I'm not sure it's going to go up that dramatically from here.
So, I mean, that was a while ago. He wasn't that excited about Bitcoin. I mean, he wasn't that enthusiastic. And the fact that he's now buying into an Ethereum Treasury and Founders Fund, his VC fund is backing it up. I mean, it goes to show there's a little bit of a different feeling he has potentially when it comes to crypto now. And definitely for Ethereum if he's buying BMR. Ethereum right there, 3,074. All right, folks. I think that's it. I think that is it for today. That Peter Teal news definitely was something I didn't see coming, but there you go. Nvidia 170 was incredible today. Palantir 150 was amazing. We got to 150.6. Very nice to see Bitcoin right here getting a little bit of momentum after hours. 117. It was at 115. Although the crypto legislation didn't get passed, I think it will get passed over the coming weeks, which will be bullish for the broader industry. And then you got BMR right here. Congrats on anyone who got some gains, up 20% after hours. That one is it's not doing too bad. So tonight we have ASML. I'll be talking about it on the market open, but around 2:30 Eastern, we'll have ASML. So if you're awake during that time, then you'll see it live. If you're just on X, but if not, then we'll cover it in the morning. So that's 8:30 in the Netherlands. So 2:30 a.m. Eastern is 8:30 in the Netherlands. So we will get ASML earnings that day, or tonight, and then we have a couple more banks tomorrow, and then after that we got TSM and Netflix on Thursday. So those are going to be the main numbers that we look at towards the end of the week. I am not doing the daily recaps probably for the next couple weeks. I talked about it yesterday, but it is just becoming impossible to do those daily recaps with my grandparents staying over. Like once I end the stream, we're going to be going out with my grandparents somewhere. I mean, they're leaving in about 2 weeks. So kind of just spending as much time as I can with them. And during the day, I'm spending time. Then I do my show. Then after the show, I'm spending time with them. So I'm not traveling at all, dude. I've been invited to a couple events in July and August, and I'm just like saying no to everything except the Miami meetup. Because I don't know when they're going to be able to come back to the States. So we will get back to the daily recaps probably when I move out in August, and we'll be able to get those done pretty much every day. Don't dismiss us like Pam Bondi. Dude, this Epstein shit is crazy, bro. It is crazy. And every day Trump gets asked about it, he's basically saying it's not a big deal. It is pretty wild. It's pretty freaking wild. But yeah, like I'd rather spend time with them than try, because the video does take, you're recording, then you got to edit, then uploading it. Like you got to be on your computer for at least 2 hours, and like it's just hard, dude. And today, dude, every day for the past week, we've had some random people come over the house to do something. Like freaking yesterday, our vents in the air conditioners were being cleaned out, so I had to like help and watch out. Today, we're getting the Tesla charger installed in our garage. So I had to help out with that. And it's just like random stuff every single day is happening during the day where I could be like recording content, but it's just a bunch of random stuff happening. So likely when I move out. Oh, we did go shopping yesterday. We went to Raymore and Flanagan to look at some sofas and some couches and some beds. And we didn't officially buy anything yet, but I think I have a good idea of what I want. So it's coming up, bro. It is coming up. It is going to happen pretty soon, in about a month. Oh, okay. So if this is correct, Peter Thiel's Founders Fund participated in a private placement for BitMine. The transaction involved the purchase and sale of 55 million shares at $4.50 each. Okay, but that's Founders Fund. That's not Peter Thiel. That's Founders Fund. Peter Thiel himself disclosed the 9.1% stake. So I'm going to try to go through some more files tonight and figure out is it actually Peter Thiel or Founders Fund, or is this 9.1% stake part of the Founders Fund overall stake, which would make a lot of sense because then he bought at $4.50, which is what Peter Thiel tends to do. He doesn't buy after it goes up 2,000%. So that would make a lot more sense. But I'm going to try to get some details on that later today as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That is pretty much it. Yeah, it's just nuclear family, just my grandma and my grandpa from India. So we don't have a ton of family over, but they've been here for the past couple months, and they will be going back to India in about 2 weeks. All right, folks, I think that's it. We will be back tomorrow on the market open. We will get to see how this all plays out. Again, Nvidia, 4.2 trillion in front of us. It is amazing to see it play out. These Ethereum treasuries, they are being born in front of us. Also pretty incredible to see this play out. SBET right here up another 6.8% after hours. That's 30.82. BitMine up 15%. MP, hell of a day, up another 2% after hours. Apple invested. Oh, Steve called me today. He was pretty upset that Apple invested $500 million into MP because he was like, why the hell are they not investing $50 billion into AI? Why are they investing into rare earth minerals? Which, I mean, they need a lot of rare earth minerals for their devices, so it makes sense why they made the investment. But he brought up a good point. He was like, why the hell are they investing in freaking Materials Corporation over like actually putting real money to work when it comes to AI? And so good for MP, but nothing too crazy on Apple today. Palantir right here at 150. Congratulations again to everybody. 150. It's been an incredible journey. We got earnings coming up on August 4th, and we will continue to see how this one plays out. But Palantir has been amazing. And then Robin, who cannot get the $100 close, but basically was sitting at $100 throughout every hour of the day, throughout today, even throughout pretty much yesterday. So hopefully we get back to 100 and we can maintain those levels. Palantir right here, 148.18 after hours. All right, cool. That is it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all for being here. We will be back tomorrow on the market open. Keep going from there. And that is it for today. All right. Bye, everybody. Appreciate you guys. See you guys tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everybody.